Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are joined live by Samantha Finke. Excited to have her here from beautiful Covington, Kentucky. She's the founder of her own company. It's Samantha Finke Life Coaching, and she's here helping so many with postpartum anxiety, depression, stress management, and so much, as well as career coaching. So we have a lot to get to know about you, and we're excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here too.
Well, thank you. For starters, how do we reach you? Could you share your website off the top?
Yes, it is www.samanthafinke, Finke, lifecoaching.com.
Perfect. And before we get to talk about all the different services that you offer, could help people with, I always find it's important to get to know you as a person first. Would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself and kind of what brought you here? I know as a child, you always wanted to be a social worker, right?
Yes, I wanted to be a social worker or a lawyer when I was a kid. I always had a passion for helping others, and I kind of just got lost doing that because I had my daughter when I was young. I'm not too young, but I was 22 when I had her. So I was a single mom and I just was struggling. And so I was just trying to get a career, and I kind of got lost trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
And then from there, tell me the steps how you got here to life coaching. So by the way, amazing. You're so lucky to have a beautiful girl. How old is she now?
I have a 14-year-old daughter, and then I have a 3-year-old son.
Oh my goodness. I have a 6 and 8-year-old, two sons. So, God
Yeah.
bless you. Amazing.
Yeah,
So
they're very
that's,
good.
but that's got to be hard. I get it. I understand the single parent. And then how did you end up discovering life coaching? Could you share a little about your own struggles and what brought you here?
Yes. So my own circles, in the end of March, beginning of April, started having insane intrusive thoughts about wanting to hurt myself and hurting my son. And I didn't realize they were intrusive at the time. I thought they were real. So I was struggling with for about a month. And then finally I told my husband, I was like, there's something wrong with me. I don't know. Like, I keep having these crazy thoughts. So I started locking myself in the basement. I was distancing myself from my kids. I wouldn't let anyone leave me alone with them because my anxiety had gotten so bad. So with the help of a friend, I was like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, you know yourself better than anyone. What do you think you should do? I was like, I think I should check myself into a hospital. So I ended up checking myself into a mental hospital. And while I was there, like, I kind of connected with this guy, and I was just like, I enjoy talking to people like about their lives. And I kind of just forgot that I enjoyed that because I used to bartend and I loved just like talking to people. So when I was there, I was like, I just forgot what I wanted to do. So I told my husband when I got out, I was diagnosed with OCD, which when people think you have OCD, like, they think of hand washing and checking doorknobs. They don't actually think of like mental compulsions. So when you get really bad stress and anxiety, you start getting crazy intrusive thoughts. So that's where all my intrusive thoughts came from, was my OCD. So when I did get out of the hospital, I told my husband that I was like, I think I want to switch careers. I think I want to find something else that I like, but I also love the job I currently have. So it's kind of like in a conflict.
Which was what, by the way?
I work for a granite and countertop company.
Okay.
It's a local company. I love doing that. So I kind of was like, I want to do something like on the side and help people. And so that's where my life coaching came in for that. So I was like, I just want to help people who are similar situations as me, who are struggling and just don't know who to talk to.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you for being here. This is a great story, and I'm sorry for your struggles, but at the same time, you're using that to now help others. So it's a great thing. So let's talk a little bit about your plans, right? So you said you'd like to meet with clients, and you go through a 5-step goal. Could you share what that is exactly?
Yes, I'm going to pull my notes up.
Sure, go ahead.
So for step one, I like to meet with my clients and go over like a 3-goal process, because we all have goals, but sometimes you've got 20 goals. So like, what's your main 3 goals and why are they important? And what's the outcome? Like, are you able to do these in 6 weeks, 12 weeks, a year? Are you going back to college? Like, so we have to figure out the goals, but I think it's really important to start with 3 goals so you don't get lost in the confusion. And then step 2, we do like a SMART goal. Out of the top 3 goals, what's the one goal that you want to accomplish? And we're going to focus on that. And then we're going to come up with an action plan and how we are going to reach that goal. It could be leaving your job. It could be divorcing your husband. It could be, so then you can kind of just, get where you need to be. And then step 3 is self-discovery. I believe it's essential for us to go through like a self-discovery questionnaire, because you do get lost in life and then you kind of just forget where you wanted to be when you were a kid. Like, where did you want to be? Did you want to be a doctor? Did you want to be a lawyer? So we'll kind of get those questions going. Like one of the questions is, what do you do? What do you love doing so much that you lost track of time? Like you lose track of time. Like when I was a kid, I used to love painting, like absolutely loved it. And now I'll whip out some color, like watercolors when I'm like need to like de-stress. But I think those are the great things that you forget that you used to love when you were a kid or when you were growing up. And then we can get you back to doing those things. And then like another one is, what's the next chapter of your life called?
Oh my
Like,
goodness. Oh
what would
gosh.
you call your next chapter?
Yeah, right. Well, but you got to focus. How do you get people to focus on choosing these steps? I mean, it's like they're nervous, they're anxious, they're fearful. So how do you walk them through the process?
Yeah, I just think it's walking through the process and narrowing down those goals and like what you want to do. Like, what is the one thing that you want to do in life that you've never done and you want to do? I think that's just really important to reach those goals. And then for my step 4 is stepping out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
So I struggled really bad with anxiety, and I would never step out of my comfort zone ever in my life. I can't go to the grocery store. Like I was not able to go to the grocery store. Like that's where like how bad my anxiety was. And my husband hated going to the grocery store with me because I was so anxious. So I started like slowly stepping out of my comfort zone and making myself go to the groceries. Instead of doing a click list, I would go to the grocery store. And it's like those small little steps that will get you out of your comfort zone will make you kind of become a better person and get you where you need to be with your goals. I have an anxiety journal that I write like all my goals down in and what I want to do, like taking my son to a party by myself, or because I did struggle with postpartum and I was really anxious about taking him anywhere. So like I have like a journal of all the things I want to do. And then all the things I've noticed I've been doing that are different than the person I was 6 months ago, I write them down in my journal. So I think just stepping out of your comfort zone is so important. And then for my step 5 is values. Our values change over the years. My values are not the same that they were when I was 15 or 20 or 25. Now I'm 37. My values are completely different. So I think it's good to like take a value test and go over your values and what are your top 10 values and what do you want to add to those values and what do you want to take off that list. There might be something on that list that you don't want on there.
Yeah.
So we can work and get your goals there.
Okay. You also mentioned, just want to bring up postpartum, and I know that's an issue for a lot of women out there. Could you just identify some of the signs or symptoms that may be helpful to people out there?
Yes. So my postpartum is probably a lot different than other women, but mine is the constant worry that something bad is going to happen to my child. Like it's constant. Like if I put him down in his crib, like I wouldn't let him sleep with a blanket until he was 2, which the rules are like 1, but I was so worried like a blanket was going to suffocate him. So I think like the worryiness is for me was that, and also the depression. Like I didn't want to leave my house. I would sit on my couch. I just like wasn't myself, which it is hard. Like you've had a baby, your hormones are everywhere. But I do think that just the depression and just you're not yourself. And I think for me, it was the worrying. Like I was constantly worrying about my son. I wouldn't let anyone watch him. It was just, I didn't trust anyone with him. So that was part of my main postpartum depression.
Now, you mentioned also that support groups, you
Mhm.
actually have some online groups that you're going to start hosting. Could you share a little bit about that? Or
Yes. So currently I do support groups in my community and
okay.
been loving them. So my friend, she was like, we should have a support group. And I just took this idea and went running with it. So I've been doing them for about 6 months now and I love them. Now I just added 2 a month because so many people have come. And it's 2 hours and everyone's just talking about their feelings and what's going on. And I think it's great because you have like one person who has 3 kids and then one person who has 1 kid and they don't know what to do. So they're giving advice back and forth. And then you have someone who is recently divorced and someone who's already divorced, and they can kind of help give some ideas. And it's all different women. It's women who are single, married, divorced, no kids, can't have kids. Like, it's all different women. So I have these tools on my website. If anyone wants to start their own support group in their community, and they can message me and I can help them get those started. And then online, I'm going to start doing a support group for New Year's resolutions, because I feel like you'll make a resolution and then you completely like forget about it. And you're like, I want to go back to school, or this year I'm going to remodel my kitchen. Like, it's like you make these goals and you don't stick to them. So I'm going to do a group where I'll help you attempt to stick to your goals.
Beautiful. And also was looking at your website earlier, which, by the way, Samantha Finke Life Coaching, that's spelled SAMANTHAFINKE lifecoaching.com. You also do relationship coaching as well. So we talked about postpartum coaching. What about relationships?
Oh, relationships. I think the problem with relationships is communication. And I kind of find it like outside perspectives are always great. My husband and I, terrible at communication, terrible. Now we're really good at it because we went through counseling, and they were like, oh, you need to do this. You need to express this instead of hiding your emotions. I think it's very important to express them, even if it's going to hurt someone else's feelings. So I think sometimes it's helpful if you sit in the room with someone else and you get an outside perspective of if the husband's saying one thing and the wife's saying the other, and then they can come together and collaborate a plan to create a good goal and good communication.
Got it. All right. To relationships. Another thing I was reading about self-care coaching.
Mhm.
First of all, first and foremost, what is self-care? I think that's an important topic to address for people.
I think self-care can kind of it can vary. Like, it can be mental self-care or it can be physical self-care. I was listening to a podcast recently, and I can't remember the podcast I was listening to, but they were just saying, like, if you have a friend who's down, just bring them a thing of paper plates, and that will like get them one step closer to helping with self-care. Because if they don't have to worry about the dishes or about doing the dishes, then they'll have more time on focusing on themselves. And I think self-care is journaling. It can be your appearance. It can be taking time for yourself. But I do, with self-care, I think it's this idea of going to the spa for the day and getting a massage and getting nails done, which is all great. I mean, I love doing that, but sometimes you can't do that. So at home, like, taking 15 minutes to yourself. Like, we have a swing in our backyard, and sometimes it's like one of those big oval circle swings. I'll go out there for 15 minutes and just swing by myself. And I think that's self-care for me. Like, just finding 15 minutes to yourself.
I was going to say, well, some people call self-care selfish. What do you say to those naysayers out there?
It's not selfish. It makes you sane. It makes you not want to lose your mind. It's okay to take your kids will be fine if you take 15 minutes. They will be fine.
All right.
TV, you can give them a toy. They will be totally fine if you leave for 15 minutes with supervision, of course, but they'll be fine. Self-care is very important to your mental health.
Got it. All right. Well, we got to remind everyone how we can reach out to you. Would you mind again sharing your phone number, email address, website, all the above?
Yes. My email address is SamanthaLifeCoaching.com @gmail.com. And then my website is www.SamanthaFinkeLifeCoaching.com. And then you can always text me or call me on my cell phone at 859-750-3593.
Beautiful. I was also reading about some other types of coaching. Let's get to the mindset coaching. Maybe can we talk a little bit about that next?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm certified in NLP, which helps you change your mindset. For me, it's all about changing your mindset. If you want to changing from a negative to a positive mindset, I think is very helpful. If you're saying I can't do this, well, you can't do it yet. You You can learn how to do something. I think it's all about changing that mindset and being more positive and taking a positive outlook on stuff. So when I first found out, for instance, on mindset, when I first found out I had OCD, which finding out you had OCD at 37, you're looking back your whole life and you're like, wow, I had OCD my whole life and didn't even realize it. But I took all the negative parts of OCD. I didn't take the positive parts of it. Like there are so many positive traits of having OCD. You just don't realize them. And then I think just taking something that looks negative and changing it to a positive is extremely important.
Got it. All right. And then also there's other forms of coaching on your site. I think with stress management.
Yeah.
What was
Yes. I used to be a stress ball. So this is going to be a very terrible mom moment.
Okay. All been there, Samantha.
So my daughter, I had a really big no TikTok rule, no TikTok. So now she's 14. It's different, but she was younger, and I took her cell phone and I launched it across the kitchen. Like I was so mad. I was so mad at her for being on TikTok because I just was like, it's not good for you to be on here. So I was like, I never want my child to ever see me do anything like that. I do not want anyone to see me throw a cell phone or yell or anything like that. So I've learned through my own self, like breathing, walking away from a situation, taking a moment to yourself to realize taking a moment to help with yourself and get your stress out. So I think breathing's very, very important. And I think walking away from a situation in some cases can be extremely helpful and coming back to it.
Got it. All right. Good to know.
That crazy stress ball, like get my kids in the car, I'd be almost in tears crying.
Sounds right.
And it's okay to be 5 minutes late to a party. But I just used to get so stressed out and it's not even worth it.
Yeah. And what about those that maybe, or, with the pandemic, I think a lot of us had to reinvent ourselves to the wheel, career change. I think a lot of us done that. And that's something that you can also help people with.
Oh, yes, for sure. So career change, I think everyone thinks like if you're stuck in, not everyone, but a lot of people do believe like if you're stuck in a career, like you have to be in that career forever. It is not the case. Just because you have a degree in psychology does not mean that you have to do psychology forever. You can switch to marketing. I mean, it might be a lateral move or it may be not exactly the pay scale that you're used to, but I think that it's okay to change your career. So I'll work with you. We'll get the resume going. Figure out what you want to do. You might not know what you want to do, but you do know that you don't want to do what you're doing now. So we can work together to come up with some ideas on how to get you there.
Beautiful. Well, what else did you want to share about you and your services, Samantha? There's so much to you and the work you're doing.
No, just that if anyone if anyone does want to do the women's support groups, I do want to mention that I can help you set them up. If you just want to text me, I can help you set them up and get you all the content that you need. So you can start your own free women's support group in your community.
Beautiful. All right. And then I also saw you're on social media too. Where are you?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and I have a TikTok account with maybe 3 videos on it.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the people that you've helped or are helping, if you don't mind. Obviously, you don't need to share their names. But tell me some of the things you're working on with people.
So today I'm meeting with someone who she's definitely struggling with depression. She has moved up here from the South and she doesn't know anyone here. She's living in an assistant living home and she's just in a different spot in her life. So I'm going to meet with her. We're going to kind of go through some steps on she wants to get out of her depression. So she's like, so we're going to meet today. We're going to come up with some steps to get her out of her depression.
Beautiful. Wow.
Which I think will start with what I heard on a podcast about the paper plates. Start with paper plates.
Good one.
So we're about the dishes. It's not good for the environment. I understand that, but I think if it's helping someone get out of their depression, it's a need.
And what is the difference with, for example, you did mention if someone has depression with a mental health counselor compared to a life coach, what are the differences and what do you do compared to, a licensed mental health professional?
Yeah, so I'm not going to be there to, I'm more of like coaching you out of the depression than helping you in the mental state, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not going to be able to help you with the mental part of it, but I can help you more of like the physical part, like getting you where you need to be. But like, what are your goals? And definitely with the woman I'm seeing today, like, we're going to talk about her seeing a therapist. Like, a therapist is extremely important when you are in depression.
Got it. Well, also, what would you say your coaching philosophy is?
Oh, I just think, I don't know if I have one really. I guess I should have one. I just think it's never too late to change anything in
There
your
you
life.
go. You got it. See, I knew you
Yeah,
had it.
it's
See, I just had to
never too.
remind you. And did you have a mentor in your life or anyone that you'd say that's, you look up to?
So for me, I think it's my family. So definitely my dad. He's my number one. But my family owns a bar and a grocery store in our community, and my uncles and my grandparents. Like, I've never seen anyone work harder in
Hmm.
my life. So they've built this amazing business in the community, and everyone loves going to the grocery store. So I think for me, just watching them grow and watching their business grow, and just how they still like made time for their families, even though they're busy working from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. Like, they still made time for their families and made a commitment to their families and wouldn't miss that. So I think for me, it's just definitely my dad and my family. I'm getting teary eyed.
Oh, well, we still got 3 minutes left in the show, Samantha. What else do you want to add about you and your services and how you're helping others?
um, with my services, I do just want to say, um, it's never too late, which I did already say, but it's never too late to do what you want to do in life. I graduated college when I was 34 years old. I didn't realize what I wanted to do until I was 37. So you can start following your dreams and your passion at any age. It's never too late. Like, my mom didn't go back to school until she was in her 40s and figured out what she wanted to do. So it's never too late. And also, if you are struggling with any type of mental health, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to normalize it, and it's okay to seek help. And don't be ashamed. I think a lot of people are ashamed if they are struggling mentally, but it's okay. You can seek help. You can talk to people about it. Everyone will, I think most people will be supportive of you talking to them about it and seeking help.
Beautiful, just like you've done, right? And by the way,
Yeah.
you coach men and women or just women?
I'm mainly focusing on women right now because
Yeah,
I think I'm more
relate
really,
better. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I get it.
Once I get to where I need to be, because I am still new to life coaching, I will begin to coach men. I just don't find myself as relatable.
No, they say men are from what? Venus and women
Yeah.
from Mars or something like. True,
And then,
true.
yeah, something like that.
Wow, and just curious, how are you managing your OCD now? Just curious how you cope with everything. Do you see a life coach or
I'm a life coach, and I also see a therapist, and I was doing OCD therapy, which is exposure and response. So doing anything that you're afraid of, basically you have to do it, and you have to sit there with those crazy thoughts that you're having. So if anyone has ever had intrusive thoughts, just sit there with them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do, like, you can't act on them, but just sit with them and be very uncomfortable with them, because once you make yourself uncomfortable, then they'll go down, and they'll go down some more.
All right. Well,
So
thank you
I
so much. Oh,
yes,
go ahead,
you're
go ahead.
I say, I just take your time with your OCD. Just take your time, and it'll eventually die down, and then you'll be happy to do anything, like going to the grocery store.
Beautiful. And I love that you say it's never too late. That is your motto, right? And,
Yeah,
we
sure.
appreciate that to inspire people. And I think that's one good thing that came out of the pandemic. We realized life
Mhm.
is so precious, life is so short. Like,
It is.
hello, let's get moving. Like, we can do this. And I like your mindset and positivity and
Mhm.
willing to help people. So, share again how we can contact you, please.
You can find my website as www.samanthafinkelifecoaching.com, and then my phone number is 859-750-3593.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure getting to know you, meeting you, and
You
looking
too.
forward to the next time we connect. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great day. And to all of our listeners, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.